I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James White, Field Yates Minekeims.
All right, so first play we're going to look at 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
All right, we're going to start there on the defensive side of the football, Taylor. We're going to start with Christian Gonzalez, who, for some reason, there's this narrative out there that PFF has him graded as the 114th out of 150 corners or whatever the case may be. It's a dumb analytic. It's a dumb stat. It doesn't make sense. He's not that bad. He's actually had a really good season. He's played against really good corners the last 3 weeks now. He started off, obviously, with a great game against Jamar Chase. We did that whole breakdown in week 1. Last week against DK Metcalf, he played well as well. There was the one coverage bust, but it wasn't on him. Besides that, he was solid. And then this week against Garrett Wilson, he has a pretty good game too. He does let up his first touchdown as an NFL quarterback, which that was obviously a downside, but it's also a good thing that it didn't happen until his 7th career game. So I thought he played well overall, but let's dive a little bit deeper into it, Taylor. You have the film pulled up on your end, and really from the jump here, he played on Garrett Wilson, and they targeted Garrett Wilson no matter what. So kind of go break it down. This is the first one where he avoids that. He basically runs him across the formation, has to mirror him, which in itself is a really hard thing to do. Like, you have to run through all that muck and crap. He doesn't go in motion. He just runs behind the formation. So go ahead and kind of break it down. But
yeah, so for this section, the next 2 players, it's really going to be more quick hitters.
Yeah.
I know last episode we kind of dragged on some of these, so I want to make sure that I let you guys know what happened on the play, but, also try to keep the pace of the episode up. But so specifically, Christian Gonzalez, he did shadow Garrett Wilson as he has in every game this season. The number 1 there, Gonzalez's man. Now, with the PFF grade, the biggest thing to understand about PFF grades are they're more impact-based than anything else. Mm-hmm. So I know people are like, oh, if a good left tackle shuts down a great edge rusher, he should get more credit. Or like if this guy busts a coverage or something, but, it's the ball's not thrown to him and he doesn't get points deducted for it, that's not fair. And I understand that completely. But PFF already gets a lot of crap for the fact that by nature, they're more subjective than other places that really just handle stats and things that you can tell pretty straightforwardly. So for them, sometimes it is a bit of a guessing game and they're not always going to be right. So to lump in the things like if the player's away from the ball, whether they won or lost, when sometimes a receiver knows it's a dead route and he's not really beat, like that's a slippery slope. Mm-hmm. Gonzalez has a poor grade because he's only had 1 pass or forced incompletion. And he has 2 flags, both when he was engaged as a blocker. 1 was a bad call, and he's given up some completions. That's the reason why he is not graded well. But if you look deeper into the numbers, he and Marlon Humphrey are the only cornerbacks in the NFL to have been targeted 15 or more times and not allowed a single completion of 15 yards or more. That's insane. All right, so I just want to give you that context. The grades, I know people get annoyed. You have to take them with a grain of salt because PFF is doing a specific thing. They know they're not perfect. We need to acknowledge they're not perfect. But Christian Gonzalez still looking very good in a great back-and-forth battle with Garrett Wilson, who played much better than he did in their matchup back in Gonzalez's rookie year. Now, you got Garrett Wilson at the point in the stack. As the number 3 most inside receiver in this bunch formation. I feel like Christian Gonzalez had a feeling that some kind of slide route was coming. And we mentioned it in the last show where in week 1, Gonzalez had a couple issues with getting picked. I'm not sure whose fault it was, but it happened. The past 2 weeks, he's done a great job avoiding those collisions. And here you're going to see it. Garrett Wilson sliding, avoids 2 defenders, makes the open field tackle to minimize yards after catch. Just one more time so we can appreciate it. He avoids Jelani Tavai, who also does a good job knowing who's around him. He bubbles over Raekwon McMillan instead of just running into him.
Yeah.
And instead of what also could have happened is if Gonzalez goes underneath Raekwon McMillan here, he loses ground, and he's basically going to be out of the play. Instead, like I said, he gets over, makes the tackle in space, shuts up the doubters who think he can't tackle.
I was going to say that's huge for him, for a guy who has been known as a poor open field tackler, and that was kind of his knock coming out, to be able to not only get across the formation, weave through all those guys, but also take him down at the point of contact, not get run over. Remember that first preseason game he had where he just got run over and we were like, oh, here we go. Like, Gonzo can't tackle. That's an improvement from a year ago. So I really like to see that.
That's going to happen to every cornerback, but really Gonzalez has shown in every game he's played as an NFL pro that he is a willing tackler, and more often than not, he's going to be the one bringing you down. So this is a play where we're going to see Christian Gonzalez squeeze Garrett Wilson to the sideline on a back shoulder fade to reduce the amount of space that Wilson has to actually make the catch and force an incompletion. Now, Garrett Wilson, tries to get on Gonzalez's toes. Gonzalez is going to stay square.
Nice.
Look at the hips. Remember, that's a big thing. The eyes, you don't want to be looking at the head. You want to be looking at the hips. So Gonzalez, you can see, he's looking at those hips the entire way. And then as Garrett Wilson looks back for the ball, look, there's some space to the sideline, but as he goes upfield, Gonzalez is still on him, squeezing that, knows that the ball is probably going to be coming at this point with Garrett Wilson starting to adjust. Gonzo gets his eyes around so he can make a play on the ball if possible. He does get run upfield a little bit, and Garrett Wilson does a great job.
Yeah, he gets tripped up a little bit at the very top of the route, but
a little bit, but he's still in pretty good position here because there's so little room between Wilson and the sideline. Wilson turns. Look at this. Now, he's already trying to get his feet down, but the ball and his feet aren't quite in sync. So you see the 1 foot down, but the second one ends up going out of bounds. Really good job by Christian Gonzalez, minimizing the space that Garrett Wilson
that's why it's incomplete, because he squeezes him. He's squeezing him so far outside. So even though he does get tripped up at the top of the route, it doesn't matter because Aaron Rodgers basically has no room for error, and that's why it goes out of bounds.
Exactly. Great play by Gonzo there. All right, this one is going to be one of the reps that Garrett Wilson won, but it's also one where you can't really get too mad at what you get from Christian Gonzalez.
It's a heavyweight fight.
Exactly. Slant at the top of the screen. Great anticipation from Aaron Rodgers to put it in there, and clearly Gonzo with good coverage. Now, once again, this I actually like because Gonzo sometimes likes to play little mind games with the guys he's going against, especially when they're not DK Metcalf, and he can actually do it and be part of the fight.
Yeah, right.
So here he's actually going to pretend to jam. You see that right there at the top? Pretends to jam to see if maybe he'll force Garrett Wilson to make a move that slows him down in his release. Garrett Wilson, though, he's smart, isn't fooled by it after the foot fire, gets upfield into the slant. Once again, Christian Gonzalez, eyes on the hips the whole way. He's looking down to see when the break's coming. Then Aaron Rodgers, he's already making this throw while Gonzo has his eyes on Wilson's hips. He doesn't even know the ball is coming yet. Rodgers throws this past the defender right here. Again, great read by him.
Right off the defender's back of the head. Yep.
Exactly. Throws it in the secondary window with anticipation. Gonzo is right there, but he can't quite break it up because Garrett Wilson makes a great catch. Throws slightly behind him, but again, Aaron Rodgers showed great anticipation. Right on the hip, good coverage. Sometimes the other guy makes a play. It's the NFL. And
people that get mad at that kind of stuff, it's just like those are the ones where there's no teaching there. Like you just he's on him. You just tip your cap and say, all right, great throw. Yeah, you can't be mad at that. He's on him. That's two great players making two great plays. He gets the better one from this one. It's not like he beat him deep. It's not like he smoked him. It's nothing he could have done better. Garrett Wilson just wins the rep.
Exactly. So great rep from both of those guys, but Garrett Wilson is the winner. All right, now this one is going to be probably Garrett Wilson's best win of the night, even though it wasn't obviously his touchdown. This is kind of similar to a play we saw last week with DK Metcalf, where he kind of did a little nod to the outside. Gonzo tried to react when he was in off coverage, and then when Metcalf went back upfield, Gonzo got tripped up and ended up falling down. This was a play that Aaron Rodgers overthrew his receiver, but could have obviously been Gonzo's first touchdown allowed on the day. So going to run it real quick. Reading the hips and off coverage, but that little nod he gets from Garrett Wilson gets him wide open in one-on-one coverage. So one more time. Gonzo looking at the hips, trying to react to the receiver as he gets upfield. Then this little nod from right there.
Yep.
Garrett Wilson is going to get Gonzo to try to give room inside just in case he's breaking against his, into his leverage. And that gets Gonzo to kind of adjust his footwork. And I think he trips on himself as he adjusts. And yeah, that could have been a huge play.
So what's the teaching there? Because Wilson gets him, but how does Gonzo make sure that doesn't happen again? Because like there's nothing to teach in the rep before. He's just on his hip and Rodgers makes a great throw. But here, hey, don't trip over yourself. Like, how do you improve on this?
Yeah, I've never coached cornerback, so I don't want to call my butt here. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what it is you just want to make sure that your feet are under you. Here, It seems like maybe they got too close and he just stumbled a little bit. But yeah, that's obviously you don't want it.
Great
really,
route
I would think the coach exactly. Yeah. So I mean, he overthrows it by a decent amount, but yeah, I just think at that point you want to kind of try to balance yourself a little bit better. But again, I don't want to get too much into that because I don't know what Mike Pellegrino is talking on that rep. Maybe we can ask him if we get to talk to him this week.
Fair.
All right, final rep here. Unfortunately, we're ending on a sour note because this was Gonzo's last touchdown allowed, or first touchdown allowed of his career. But another example of these guys, like two very good players, where sometimes one guy's just going to win a rep. This happened to be in the red zone for a touchdown. So Garrett Wilson, quick out route, uses some physicality to create that separation. Literally a fingertip Gonzo misses by, but that makes the difference. So once again, Gonzo reading the hips, waiting for the break, stays square until the last second. Literally, Wilson's right in his kitchen when Gonzo actually declares. So this is a great job by Wilson getting into his body to create contact, because Gonzo's also pressing him. It's if I push, you pull. So Gonzo's trying to press, and Wilson's saying, bet, I'm going to use that to push off of you and create my own separation. Rodgers lets it go. Gonzo doesn't even have his eye on the ball yet. Now he's looking at it and is like, all right, I'm going to try to undercut this. Can't quite get there because it is a perfect throw to the outside shoulder from Drake May's GOAT, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, again, that's another one where like Wilson wins the rep. He did what he could. Wilson gets that 2 seconds of separation right at the top of his route. And so then Rodgers knows, he sees it, throws it. And even still, Gonzalez does a decent job at rebounding and has the speed to kind of undercut it. He just misses it by literally right there. And then it's Wilson for a touchdown. So
I'm not going to make anybody watch that anymore.
But I have a hard time too with the, I guess I have a hard time getting on Christian Gonzalez for plays like that, Taylor, because that's just something where like Garrett Wilson is one of the best wide receivers in football. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks at understanding wide receivers in football. So like one of the plays we talked about the week before where he threw it before Wilson even made his second break over the Titans corner. Like Rodgers knows once he stems up Gonzalez right there, it's over. We have the leverage. I'm going to throw it before anybody even knows it. And it's a touchdown. So like that, I have a hard time getting on Christian Gonzalez for that stuff, which is why I think the grades are bogus, Taylor.
Support us and sign up at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the app today and use code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5.